We've got some breaking news here. The Supreme Court just handed President Trump a massive, and I mean massive, win on election integrity just weeks before the midterms. A ruling that literally changes the playing field before a single vote is cast. Stick with me to the very end of this video because we're going to see exactly why the left is panicking, why this ruling is just the beginning, and why this decision might be the single biggest thing that happens before November. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, enjoying yet another glorious day in the Trumpian golden age that you made possible back in November of 2024. So if you want a front row seat on how you're changing this nation and the world in ways you never even imagined, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Also, a quick heads up. You can now find more of our videos over on MSN, and the response has been absolutely incredible. If you want another way to keep up with the stories we're covering and the bigger shifts reshaping our world as we reach an even wider audience, click the link below and check out our latest videos on MSN. Talk about a huge win for the Trump administration. The Supreme Court has just lifted a lower court injunction that has been blocking President Trump's executive order on mail-in ballots. Now, in a 6-3 ruling, the court just cleared the way for Trump's citizenship verification executive order to go into effect just in time for the midterms. Now, that EO, that executive order, directs the Department of Homeland Security to compile a list of every eligible adult citizen voter in each state. And then it directs the United States Postal Service to deliver mail-in ballots only to people who are actually on that list. Now, that's bad enough for the Democrats, but it gets worse. The same EO directs each state to submit their voter registration records to the DHS, Department of Homeland Security, in a format that allows the federal government to cross-check names against federal citizenship and death databases before mail ballots can be delivered. This, in turn, allows the federal government to see explicitly which states are cleaning up their voter registration records and which states have non-citizens and illegals and dead voters still on their rolls. So this is going to be absolutely brutal for blue states. I mean, think about what's going to happen when states like California, Minnesota, and Illinois, with Chicago and Michigan, with Detroit, when they have to turn over their voter rolls. All hell is going to break loose because once these states produce their voting rolls, they're going to make New Jersey look pristine by comparison. California alone is going to be New Jersey on steroids in terms of all the dead, illegal, relocated fake voters they've got on their voter rolls. Now, of course, blue states are refusing to comply with that order. They know they can't reveal their voter rolls without completely vindicating President Trump on this. And so each and every blue state has refused to give up their voting records. And so this is where the EO stings. This is where it really has teeth. The executive order directs the U.S. Postal Service to withhold mail-in ballots to all states who refuse compliance with this order. The U.S. Postal Service is now authorized to refuse ballot delivery to voters in states that are non-compliant with these new federal orders. So states that refuse to share their data, like California, Minnesota, will then end up forfeiting their ability to offer their own residents mail-in ballots at all. Remember, states like California send out mail-in ballots indiscriminately. Everyone gets one. It doesn't matter if you're alive or you're dead, legal, illegal, citizen, non-citizen. Everyone gets a mail-in ballot. Until now. With the Supreme Court decision to overturn an activist judge's injunction against this order, California ain't getting a single mail-in ballot until they comply, until they turn over their obviously corrupt voter rolls. I mean, it's stunning stuff. It's hardball politics for sure. If you're not verified, you do not get a ballot mailed to your door automatically anymore. Simple. It's common sense. And According to 6 justices on the Supreme Court, it is now perfectly legal to do just that. Now, to be clear, the court did not rule on the ultimate merits of the executive order itself. What it did do, it ruled that this Boston area liberal activist judge, this is Obama appointee, that blocked the EO never had the jurisdiction to block it in the first place. So the Supreme Court has yet to rule on the merits of the order, but until then, the order is in place and it is indeed being enforced, and just in time. The U.S. Postal Service just issued a 95-page ruling on how it will handle mail-in ballots. It was designed to take immediate effect the moment the injunction was lifted from this lower court, which, of course, the Supreme Court just did. Under the new rule, the U.S. Postal Service will flat out refuse to deliver ballots in states that do not comply with the new standards. Again, it's that simple. The post office is a federal department, always has been, and if you're a state like California, New York, or Minnesota that refuses to turn over your voter rolls and comply with the directives of the federal government in regulating mail-in ballots, then you are not getting any mail-in ballots. It's that simple. And there's really no way around that for these blue states. The U.S. Postal Service has special chain of custody procedures that render it unique in terms of mail delivery. FedEx and UPS don't have the legal authority to deliver mail-in ballots because they don't have the chain of custody procedures in place. So if you want a mail-in ballot, it is legally required to be delivered and processed by the U.S. Postal Service. Again, there's no workaround here for these non-compliant states. And if you think Democrats are panicking now, wait until you see what's in store for them in addition to this EO. For the party of election shenanigans, things are going from bad to worse. But first, do you ever wonder how people like Nancy Pelosi seem to know exactly when to buy certain stocks, right? How politicians seem to have secret knowledge of what's going to do well in the market? Well, it's all insider trading. Pelosi and her cronies have been getting away with it for years, but guess what? You and I actually have access to that very same inside information. Thanks to a little SEC loophole, we can track what these big corporate CEOs are buying up in real time, and then we could just ride their coattails into financial success legally and ethically. Once you learn the secret of the trade you're in. Now, to do that, you got to join me along with my good friend and trading expert, Ross Givens, this Thursday, August 27th at 3 p.m. Eastern. Ross is the real deal. His insider tips have led to returns of over 200%. Some have hit as nearly high as 1,500%. It's going to be absolutely huge, but seats are limited. Click the link below, snag one of those remaining online seats. This is going to absolutely change your life, gang. You can't afford to miss it. Ever since the Carter Commission that examined voting by mail, it's been widely acknowledged that mail-in ballots are, by design, the least transparent form of voting we have. I mean, there's no poll worker checking your ID at a table. There's no chain of custody you can watch with your own eyes. It's a ballot mailed to an address, filled out who knows where by who knows whom, and mailed back. And in states like California, every registered voter gets a ballot automatically, whether they ask for one or not. People who move out of the state stay on those lists for years. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's just how the system currently works in a lot of these blue states. And every single time Republicans propose a common sense fix, verify who's on the rolls, verify citizenship, verify the address, the address is current and the like, the Democrats do everything they possibly can to resist it. They scream voter suppression. They accuse Republicans of racism. It's patently absurd. And the reason for their incessant resistance is obvious. Messy voter rolls are ripe for what election officials politely call anomalies. What we call fraud. But with this latest ruling, we now have an enforcement mechanism requiring proof of citizenship in order to be registered to vote, in order to get a mail-in ballot. We now have a cross-check system that verifies states' voter rolls with a federal citizenship registry from the Department of Homeland Security, and no one who's not on that federal registry gets a mail-in ballot. So this executive order is very important, securing elections for citizen participation only. Let's not forget that this is precisely how New Jersey got caught with 6,600 non-citizens on their voting rolls. The DHS is claiming it's significantly more than that. They said they found tens of thousands, but this is exactly how blue states are getting caught. This cross-check between federal citizenship databases and state voter rolls. Now, the next step to all this, of course, is what's included in the SAVE Act, which would require proof of citizenship to even register to vote in federal elections, regardless of mail-in ballots, as well as voter ID requirements in all 50 states. So the combination here, that sort of the 1-2 punch, is the purging of all non-citizens from voter rolls and then the proof of identity when voting. Now, of course, the SAVE Act is currently stalled in the Senate with the feckless non-leadership of the ironically named Senate Majority Leader John Thune. But as we talked about yesterday, President Trump is considering declaring a national emergency to federalize the midterms. So a national emergency declaration is different from an executive order in that it's actually able to bypass the courts as well as Congress. So the Supreme Court ruled back in 1983 that a national security emergency can only be overturned by a 2/3 vote in both the House and the Senate. Good luck with that, right? So that's impossible given their political paralysis. And so with the SAVE Act stalled in the Senate and with the Supreme Court yet to rule on the merits of this mail-in ballot executive order, Trump, I believe, needs to act boldly and declare in the next couple of weeks a national security emergency that bypasses both Congress and the courts and secures our elections once and for all. But until then, we got a huge win. For the first time in years, there is real momentum behind the idea that ballots should only go to verified, eligible voters, not just whoever happens to be sitting on an outdated list somewhere. That's not a partisan idea. That's just an election that actually works the way it's supposed to. The Democrats know this, and that's exactly why they're losing their minds over it. They've built an entire campaign, national campaign architecture around loose, chaotic mail-in systems, and now that door is closing, and with it, their political future as well. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section below. I want to hear what you have to say. And make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button for breaking news and analysis you're not going to get anywhere else. Love you guys. God bless. If today's video left you thinking there has to be a bigger story behind all this, that's exactly what Civcosm is about. Beginning September 8th, I'm opening the classroom for 6 live weeks to walk you through that story. Click the link below and reserve your seat. I'd love to have you in the room.